So today we're going to look at an old friend, Mr. Brandon Toy, who has an issue with some footage of a satellite. He does a breakdown video where it's quite obvious that he doesn't know what he's talking about, but then he employs the expertise of a couple of other flat earthers. You can only imagine what happens then. Well, Brandon, roll VT.
In my last video, we looked at an Indian Space Research Organization video that showed satellites being deployed in 2019. From a height of about 576 kilometers, we watched as they dropped satellites into what appeared to be a cloud bank.
No, Brandon, what you're witnessing is the little satellites separating from the launch vehicle. Those clouds are quite some distance below.
That opened many questions, but those were only the first ones, as we're going to take a look at here.
Oh, joy.
Last time we focused on this one in the lower right-hand corner circled in red and watched as it disappeared into the clearing and under the clouds.
No, Brandon, I'm sure that you've misspoken, because those satellites won't be going under the clouds.
Here you can watch it in slow motion as it goes underneath the cloud. And we're going to look at this one in the middle and watch it as it ducks in and out of the clouds. Here we see it in slow motion, and in just a second we're going to take a look at it zoomed in and slowed down. You'll see it bob in and out of the clouds.
Brandon, this isn't difficult. You have a small satellite at a large distance tumbling around, and the background is varying levels of brightness. So as it tumbles, you're going to see it bleed in and out of the background. That's all it is.
As it enters on its way down to Earth? I don't know. This is sharpened and enhanced to show the detail.
This is obviously new usage of the words sharpened and enhanced that I've not been previously aware of.
And you can make out the spots where the satellite appears to go in and out and in and out of the cloud cover. Could it be digital artifacts?
It could well be. We don't know what the original resolution of the camera was, and now of course you have applied enhancement. Yeah, zooming in, enhancing, you're going to get digital artifacts.
These two have a white blotch, we'll call it, next to them. Well, the one in the upper left-hand corner circled in green doesn't have that white blotch.
Well, this rocket actually launched, I think, 9 satellites from different countries. They didn't all look identical.
It's more of a solid black, the color of the satellite when it was released from the rocket. Now, in this slowed down version, pay attention and see if you can see the white blotch suddenly appear. So just like the other two had, this third one suddenly gains that white blotch. But what could it be gaining that would give it that look? The only two things I can think of are a parachute or a balloon.
Or perhaps, Brandon, there could be a third explanation, like this. As it tumbles, you see different parts of it that are darker and lighter.
But of course, a parachute wouldn't be needed at 576 kilometer altitude. And why would a balloon be needed if the satellite is being released into orbit?
No, Brandon, it's not a parachute and it's not a balloon. Do you have anything else?
The final and maybe most interesting detail from this video comes from comparing the cloud cover that we see here in the footage at supposedly 576 kilometers to what we see in Mr. Sensible's Mage 2 high altitude balloon footage.
Ah, Mr. Sensible. Top bloke, him. If you haven't watched it already, have a look at the Mage video.
Here at 14,000 meters and here at approximately 38,000 meters. It's striking how much detail there is in the 576 kilometer ISRO footage on the right and how little detail there is in the Mage 2 38,000 meter footage on the left.
Well, you do need to consider what the cameras are. That Mage one is not zoomed in at all and is a wide-angled lens camera. What's the one on the satellite? How much is it zoomed in?
I don't know what it could account for this. Maybe there is a difference in the weather between these 2 days or locations, but it sure is a striking difference. So besides this interesting difference in the detail at different altitudes in these 2 pieces of footage, we also have 2 satellites that are falling towards the Earth.
Are they falling towards the Earth? Or is the launch vehicle still going up? Do you know the shape of its orbit? Is it just moving away from the satellites it's releasing?
I think we're going to need some better explanations for this one than it's an optical illusion.
Well, fair enough. Why don't you discuss it with some flat Earth scientists? Oh, you have? Who's that then? Ranty Flat Earth. And who else? Jimbo. Jimbo turnip peelings. The same Jimbo who thought that the string across the Mage camera was an artificial horizon. Come on then, what words of wisdom did they come up with?
And I have a hard time judging the scale I'm supposed to be looking at.
Yep, that's Jimbo, who has a hard time judging anything that he's looking at, as we shall see.
Yeah, I just finished with I really don't know what I'm looking at when I see it.
Yes, Jimbo, we know.
There is some satellites that they released prior to that. You'll see this big one. This one is called RISAT, I believe. And it's some kind of weather satellite, supposedly, which this looks fake as fuck, and we've already laughed at this a lot.
It looks fake. You've laughed at it. And that's evidence, is it, Brandon?
This looks like it's like coming out of the back, right? This is supposed to be Earth over here, which is very odd looking anyway. But this one goes out the back. And then it shows this one being deployed. And then they go to this side view. And if you'll notice at the start of this...
It's like an Oreo cookie or a chocolate cookie or something at the side.
Sorry, Jimbo, did you say something about chocolate cookies?
Chocolate cookie?
The last frame you showed. It's supposed to be clouds in the earth. It looks like, a rock or cookie batter.
A rock or cookie batter. Jim, do you have any crayons you could chew?
Here, just for a couple frames, did you see that? You'll see what we are told is the curvature of the Earth. This looks like, this black part, a masking of the camera of some type to me. This does not look natural, even for NASA's fakery.
Brandon, they're trying to film the satellite release. It's a wide-angle lens, so the curvature of the Earth is accentuated.
This looks like all they've done is have some kind of rounded cutout that they're blocking.
It even looks fisheye. It looks
Absolutely.
how the clouds are distorted backwards and outward. It looks almost like part of a fisheye lens capture.
Well, I'm astonished, Jimbo. You're closer than Brandon, but I wish you guys would not get hung up on fisheye lenses. Fisheye lenses are very extreme. What you're talking about is a wide-angle lens.
It could be something that's placed over the camera, you're right, like a cardboard slit.
Move over, Jimbo, with your cookie dough. Now we got Ranty Flat Earth with a cardboard slit.
That looks ridiculous, whatever we're looking at here.
Lens.
Talk about an argument from incredulity. That looks ridiculous, whatever it is we're looking at.
Are these the clouds that it goes into?
Yeah, these are the clouds it goes into. Here, I'll play it. And
But hang on, these aren't clouds. Is that right? Is this what the Globers are saying, that this is not clouds that it's going into?
No, they've never said that. I haven't heard them say that they're not clouds.
Good, because to be very, very clear, those are clouds.
So what height do clouds go up to?
60,000 feet for
Even
typical
70
clouds.
in some cases.
Was that the noctilucent ones?
No, the noctilucent ones are higher, maybe 250,000 feet, I believe I read, which is 40, 50 miles-ish.
Zero
it doesn't really help them.
Be well over 70,000.
It doesn't help them at all.
No, they're supposed to be at 356 miles, 576 kilometers.
How big is a cloud? When you see some little puff of a cloud wafting over, that's a little different than what we're looking at here, which could be continental-sized cloud patterns. Scale matters.
You could give them the noctilucent cloud height, whatever.
Yeah, and these aren't noctilucent clouds, but yeah, you could give it to them. Yeah.
The perspective from 300 miles, even if you Google Earth and set your height at 300 miles looking down, you don't see this much curvature of the Earth. In fact, if you're over somewhere like Italy, you got boot leather in your face.
So, Jimbo, you're now claiming that imagery on Google Earth disproves actual satellite images. And as for Italian boot leather, I don't know what you're talking about.
They're way too high.
The clouds are way too high, Jimbo. Can I just remind you of one thing that you said earlier on, which was correct?
And I have a hard time judging the scale I'm supposed to be looking at. And I have a hard time judging the scale I'm supposed to be looking at.
Exactly. So just how the hell do you think you're going to tell how high those clouds are from a satellite 500 kilometres up?
This is from 3,000 miles up, this view.
Sorry, Jim. Just suddenly out of nowhere, you're claiming that the satellite is filming from 3,000 miles up. 3,000.
I'll tell you, the one final nail in the coffin with this, which I'm surprised nobody's actually picked up, is the fact that these satellites, when they release them, they stay in focus the whole time.
No, with distance they appear smaller and they look slightly blurred.
Now, you'll know that once you've set your camera settings and you've got a focus set, so when it's close up to the camera, you can make out all the features on these satellites. But as it goes away, funnily enough, they can see the satellites the entire time until they disappear into the clouds.
So if they remained in focus the whole time, Ranty, what the hell sort of enhancements was required of the imagery by Brandon? And they didn't disappear in the clouds, they disappeared due to perspective, when they became too small to be identifiable.
There's no way that it would be able to track those and still have them visible as they are.
You guys are setting up straw men. No one is saying that those satellites went down to the clouds. Therefore, there's no requirement for them to have been seen from 500 odd kilometres up all the way down to the clouds. All that's happened is they were filmed separating from the launch vehicle until such time as that, due to their distance, they were too small to be seen anymore.
What do you?
That's why it has to be CGI.
So there we go. Flat Earth scientist number one, Ranty Flat Earth, says it has to be CGI. Let's see what the others come up with.
You think it's CGI? See, I think this is what they're doing here. This is my little speculation. Is they are in a plane. This footage is shot from a plane, and they're tossing these out into the clouds for God knows what reason.
Flat Earth scientist number two, Brandon Toy, believes this is filmed from an aircraft, and they're doing a lot of tossing out the back of it.
No idea why they would do this.
Well, yeah, that could be possible too, because it depends on the speeds. I mean, you're trying to assume here that they're firing these rockets down from 250 miles up, and they're hitting the clouds at 50 miles up, and yet you're tracking these for a full 200 miles. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Give it up, Ranty. Nobody is saying that these satellites at a metre or two across can be seen 200 miles away. No one is claiming that they're hitting the cloud deck, except for you guys.
Oh, no.
So we know that these are traveling a distance of just a mile maybe, or a couple of miles at most.
So now we're lobbing things out of a plane about a distance of a mile above clouds based on the fact that you think you can see these objects going into the cloud deck, although you can't.
So you're quite right, it could be a very high altitude plane that's dropping them into the clouds. It's the only explanation.
It's the only explanation, is it, Ranty? Because not 2 minutes ago you said CGI was the explanation. Now you're agreeing with Brandon that they're lobbing stuff out of aircraft.
Well, I don't think it's that high altitude, to be honest with you. Let me show you something else. I don't know if you caught this week, but I did a comparison between Mr. Sensible's Mage 2 footage.
Mr. Sensible. Top bloke, him. If you haven't watched it already, have a look at the Mage video.
And how these clouds look, and I think it's quite telling about the altitude of the satellite release, supposed satellite release. On the left is Mage 2. This is at 38,000 meters plus 38,616. These are clouds. This white area, these are clouds. That's been 100% verified that those are clouds. We can watch it as it goes all the way up. And we have the weather reports from that day that this balloon was released, 38,000 meters.
Thanks, Brandon. Acknowledgement that Mage was real, it went up to 38 kilometres, and that the cloud patterns match the satellites. Cheers.
In the right,
I can only repeat that view here, even for the Mage, is well over 3,000 miles up, not 300.
Jimbo, you're now saying that the Mage weather balloon went up over 3,000 miles. That is what you said, isn't it?
For the Mage is well over 3,000 miles up, not 300.
well, I don't know about that, Jimbo, because you can watch
I do know about that.
Well, Jimbo, I would beg to differ that you know about that. Mage, from launch to its highest point, took 2 hours, 20 minutes. That's 2.25 hours. If it's gone 3,000 miles up, that is a speed of 1,287 miles per hour, which is a little under Mach 1.7. You really are a fetid pile of rotting turnip peelings. You don't know nothing.
Okay. You can watch the whole thing as it goes up from start to finish.
10 out of 10 for distancing yourself from that idiot, Brandon. Now you guys have just once again made yourself look totally foolish. You don't seem to be able to grasp the concept of objects tumbling, of perspective, or anything really, because within a few minutes we've had a firm assertion that it's all CGI, followed by a 180-degree U-turn confirming it was stuff being chucked off the back of an aircraft. The height is just a little of over 1 mile over the clouds, and then a few minutes later it's over 3,000 miles up. This is not science. This is wild-ass stupidity at its finest, I might add. Thanks for the laugh, guys, and please make sure you sweep up those turnip peelings on your way out. Before we go, massive thanks to my amazing patrons. Until next time, stay sensible. I want to give massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much.
Shut up and sit down.